of NHL DFS. There's the Periscope link. So we are going to be live. Should be kicking over to YouTube in just a second. I will add the channel. There we go. Another day of NHL DFS. Wouldn't be a Saturday of NHL DFS without Draftkings doing some questionable stuff. Yeah, the contest selection, I'm not really pleased with it over there. The pricing is an absolute joke. I still might end up playing because I just love playing NHL DFS, and there's probably still an edge tonight. I think it is a good MME slate. Would be better if the pricing was just a little bit tighter. I'm not against soft pricing. Sometimes I get that, like casuals enjoy it and stuff. And it's good for MME players. I think you just get to play more good lines and more players, good spots. But yeah, what they're running out today for the pricing is kind of ridiculous. So I've seen a bunch of stuff on Twitter about it. I think I agree with it for the most part. I don't know if it's going to be enough for me to not play, especially after last night, man. That was a brutal slate. For me, looks like a bunch of the pros took a pretty heavy hit. I've got lineup study pulled up here, but just want to mention we're sponsored by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Going to want to get over there and play some of these, not only the NHL contests. The competition is not as steep over there. So today they're running out the $12. Once again, that's probably my favorite tournament on Yahoo. But also the NFL contests, you're going to get lower management fees than what you would see elsewhere. Who knows if this will even fill? So $35K up top, $10 entry fee, 150 max if you so choose. But not many people are going to be 150 maxing that. So if you want to throw 20 in there, hand building, or 50 or something like that, you don't have time for 150, or you don't want to play that much volume. I think it's a tournament that's winnable with less than 150 lineups. So would get over there, check out the Baller. They've got a lot of other good NFL contests. I've been playing a bunch of those over the last few weeks over on Yahoo. So just wanted to make sure we mention them because they are our presenting sponsor. My presenting sponsor today. No Nolan today, as you may have noticed. He is not above me. I'm not hiding him. But we do have 13 games, and I don't know. I mean, with the pricing on DraftKings, I just don't get cute. That's what I'm trying to do, is just not get cute, play the best lines, play the best plays, and worry about ownership on another slate that's not 13 games with 26 teams to choose from. And, multiple lines to choose from on a few of these teams, I think. Let's look at last night. I've got the $8 pulled up. Anything else go on over here? Slewfoot took down the $1,500 single entry. Nothing new there. Slewfoot, an absolute stud. I always look at the $8. I'm guessing you guys are probably fine with that. It's what I like to play the most. $8, $10, whatever it is, whatever they're not offering today on DK that I absolutely hate. They don't run that out on Saturdays for whatever reason, except in the playoffs when it would fill every day. So I'm going to be playing some on Fanduel tonight. I think been trying to play there more often. DK is not really giving me a lot of good options to get any sort of volume I want to get down tonight. The $40 is atrocious tonight as well. I mean, if you max that, if you get fourth place and don't cash any other entries, which isn't likely, but just for the sake of a talking point, you're still down $1,000. Like, it's just outrageous how they structured that tournament. That being said, who knows if it looks like it's going to overlay? Like, I'm not going to say I'm not going to put entries into it right now. I don't have any entries in it, but who knows? I always get confident closer to lock. So enough of me ragging on DK for now, at least. Last night, Brucey Bruce, 1987, took it down, single entry. Let's see here. Matthews, Lars Eller, Marner. Very little correlation. I don't think Gusev and Coleman were on the same line. Paul Mary certainly was not on a line with either of those two guys. So I don't know. Congrats to this person who took this down. Not a lineup I would ever play. A 3-man devil stack with guys on 3 different lines and not even a power play stack. But sometimes you hit the nuts when you do some weird stuff like this. Matthews, Marner, correlated on the top PP, I guess, but no other skaters from Toronto. The Matthews goal, I saw our buddy Saul Goodman was not pleased with the Matthews goal. I didn't think Matthews was a great play last night either, and scored a goal. Matthews is awesome. Sometimes it's going to work out, even in not great spots when you're almost 8K. But were people playing him in cash? Because I don't know. Like, he wasn't coming up anywhere near the optimal, like when I just run the optimal in Fantasy Cruncher. But maybe some people were playing him in cash. Coleman smashed Zajac Fish. Yeah, dude. Last night was like 4 games once again. Same thing. Wednesday and Friday were essentially the same slate to me. Like, not saying the pros are going to win every night, but like when you look at all the guys that 150'd, and it's just red all over the place. Outside of a couple guys, like there were a few 150ers that did profit last night and didn't completely lose everything. But yeah, this is the life of an MMEer. Like when stacks don't go off, you're going to get destroyed. I got destroyed last night. Lost, what is that? 3/5 of my entries there in this tournament. I don't even think I got one in the top 100. So a lot of good players in this list, and wasn't a good night for the MMEers, the chronic MMEers. Yeah, Josh Stack. What else should we look at here? I always forget how to navigate this. I gotta widen everything. That's what I always forget to do. Okay, sort by place. Is there anyone interesting we could even look at? Micah J, good player. Boggs, good player. I mean, there's a lot of good players. I don't know that there's not much to analyze, I don't think, like, because full stacks didn't go off, but let's see. This guy played 150. Who's he heavy on? Oh, my. Holy Leafs. They only scored 4 goals, didn't they? Man. 6-man Leaf stacks just all over the place. So, all right, interesting. I don't know that I know this username. Wow. That's interesting. 6-man stacks, but Matthews, Tavares, Kapanen, Marner. Okay, so a wing and a center from each of the top 2 lines with Riley. That makes sense. Is Kapanen on the top unit? No, Andreas Jansson's on the top unit, top power play unit. And then correlate the goalie. I'm always a fan of that, whether you force it or it just comes up organically. This is an interesting lineup construction. Nosek had 31.3. I didn't even notice that. Well, all right. When you nail it, Tomas Nosek one off for 30. What was it? What did I say? 31.3 points. I guess you're just smarter than everyone. Interesting. So congrats to this guy. I mean, one of the 150ers that made bank last night. So power play stacks were the nuts, I suppose, even though the Leafs didn't really go off. Weird night where weird things worked out. All right, let's wash that slate away. I don't know. I didn't get too many happy tweets and mentions today in Slack, so I'm assuming a lot of people that watch this show didn't have the hottest of nights because we like to stack, and stacks weren't the thing last night. Hopefully that's not a pattern for the rest of the season. Otherwise, gonna have to rethink things. But 13 game slate. Gonna break down each game. It's gonna go super quick. I think most of these games because there's 1 to 3 lines in every game, and the defensemen are pretty obvious. I think tonight who you're targeting because everyone is dirt cheap on DraftKings. We'll still go through DraftKings pricing. Maybe I'll flip over to FanDuel on some of these, and we can compare the pricing. I want to mention the promo code NHL Early Bird, $40 off your yearly Awesemo NHL Premium subscription. So that only works on the yearly package. It's $40 off. It's a pretty good deal, and that expires the 10th. So you got a few days to decide if you want to take advantage of that coupon or promo code, I should say. And with that subscription, you get access to projections made by Alex with a little bit of my input, rankings. Hopefully, going to have ownership coming along in the next few weeks. Premium Slack, of course, is awesome, and then line changes as well. Nolan's actually working on line changes right now, so you should be able to see that if you're a premium member coming up in the next few minutes, I would assume. All right, let's go through the games. Devils, Sabres, 2.7 implied total for the Devils, 2.8 for the Sabres. Blackwood and Hutton expected to go. Devils on a back-to-back. Big disappointment last night. As far as line matching goes here, don't know that we're going to see anything crazy. I think you're going to see the top 2 lines for both of these teams play a lot against each other. The lineups page, yeah, Eric. The lineups page, I'll post the link in chat. This is, if you want to follow along, this is a free page. If you do become a premium member, if you are a premium member, and you go to it directly from the site, and you go to tools and then lineup builder and select the NHL lineup builder, you'll be able to see the grades and projections and stuff like that here. So it's a pretty cool tool. You can export directly from this, build lineups right on here, export them all, and upload them to DK or FanDuel. All right, so I mean, I like both Buffalo 1 here and New Jersey 1. I think I like Buffalo 1 a little bit better if we're talking about DraftKings, just because I guess they're at home, a little bit higher of an implied total. Barely. I mean, we're splitting hairs here. Both of these top 2 lines in play. I'm getting to more Buffalo 1 right now. That's just how I have it ranked. I think Olofsson makes for a pretty nice complement to Eichel and Reinhart up there. And like I said, I don't know that we're going to see any sort of matching. If they go up against Hischier, Hall, Palmieri, I'm not even sure that's the worst matchup in the world at 5-on-5. Buffalo really, they kind of worked Pittsburgh in their first game. I was surprised to see that going through some stuff this morning. I mean, you would expect them to be better, but that was, the score was indicative of how the actual game went. Like, Pittsburgh had under 1 expected goal for at 5-on-5 in the game, and I think Buffalo had like over 2, so they handled them pretty good. I like Buffalo again tonight. Not really ready to go to this second line, even though I love Jeff Skinner. By the way, Nolan has his line changes article out. He just messaged the channel, and so if you are a premium member, feel free to check that out. All right. Nothing interesting for defensemen here. You're playing Rasmus Dahlin and PK Subban if you're stacking up one of these guys. I think in general, as I think this is the case in baseball as well, bigger slate, you should be more likely to stack and try to hit that outlier performance from a team or from a line in the case of the NHL. So I would advocate for more 4-man stacking. I would at least be 3-man stacking. That'd be bare minimum for me. Goalie correlation is more in play tonight, correlating your goalies with one of your stacks. So goalie is not super interesting to talk about. Colin Miller is a nice punt, though. He's a guy that I am getting in some of my crunches. if you use the doubles numbers from last year, just be careful. They should be improved defensively and offensively, like I mentioned the other day. They might look terrible if you look at like the road numbers last year, but with Subban and Palmieri and Heischer and all these guys healthy, you would expect them to be much, much better both home and away. So be careful with how you're using them. If you're just looking at last year's data, it's a little bit of a different team than what you saw for the majority of the year last year. Montreal, Toronto, Carey Price, Michael Hutchinson, confirmed starters, 3 implied total for Montreal, 3.6 for Toronto. I think it was a 6.5 total on one of the sites I was looking at, and a lot of juice to the over here. So that's going to be par for the course, I think, for a lot of Leafs games. Leafs, I mean, it seems like, well, they have been chalk every game they've played so far this year. This will be their 3rd game in 4 nights. Played Wednesday, played last night, obviously playing tonight. Maybe they're a little bit tired. That's pretty tough to start a season. 3 out of 4 with a back-to-back on the 3rd game in 4 nights. Starting their backup goalie, I would expect this to be a pretty high-event game. Montreal did not play last night. Really like the Danault, Tatar, Gallagher line here. If they go up against Tavares, great. If they go up against Matthews, great. If they go up against anyone else, even better. So that's the line I prefer to get to here. Tatar, like even relative to everyone else on this slate, everyone's underpriced, but Tatar at 3,900, it's kind of wild. It's just weird to see that. And Danault, if he's going to play power play time on this Montreal team, that's a big bump for a guy that's already cheap. I don't think they're going to be a super popular stack tonight because you just don't need that much value. And there's a couple stacks like that. But they're a stack that I really do like if you're playing over on Draftkings or on Fanduel, really. Let's see where I got to them. Didn't get to them as much on Fanduel. Where are they at here? Yeah, I mean, I still like them on FanDuel, but not like a priority. Like I think they'd be closer to a priority for me over on DraftKings. It's just like everyone's so cheap. It's kind of hard to talk about who's better than who. Nolan says minus 200 favorites, and they have Rene listed as confirmed. Yeah, use Saros on Yahoo. There you go. You've been warned. On the other side, Leafs here, I don't think they're going to be that chalky tonight. I mean, no one's going to be, like, a full line's not going to be over, like, 7-8% tonight. I don't think so. And I think the soft pricing even sets up better for full stacking because people who are casually playing and, like, just hand building, like, sure, you might start off your lineup like this, but you have your 6-man stack and you're like, all right, sweet, I got Morgan Riley. You put in your goalie, I don't even care, Craig Anderson, and it's like, okay, I got 5,900. Well, I could just take one of these value defensemen, and now they'll go back and they'll start picking guys out of their lineup. All right, let's take Tatar out. Let's get a better center. Oh, I like Eichel as a one-off center. I think there's going to be more of that going on tonight. So I'm just stacking. Full line stacks, PP stacks, whatever you like. I think with the soft pricing, it lends itself even more to trying to be aggressively stacking and just valuing correlation over a little bit higher projection. I think that's similar for a lot of sports. That's like a lot of smarter people than me say that stuff just to value correlation more. It's still undervalued, like in NFL. I think it still is in NHL. And then in baseball, I think it's more figured out there where everyone's just firing in 5-man stacks and stuff. But this game, once again, like Tavares, Marner, Kapanen, a little bit more as a full stack than the second line, or the Matthews line, I should say. If you want a power play stack here, not a bad idea. Huge total for the Leafs. They're going to have big totals all season. So nothing weird here. Morgan Riley at 6,100. He's kind of the one guy that didn't get priced up on DK. So, or I'm sorry, he did get priced up, or at least priced appropriately. He's going to play big minutes, going to play in the top power play. I mean, he's just playing with a star-studded group on the PP1, so he's going to be, he's probably going to come in under-owned a lot of the time for just how good of a play he is, like just based on his upside. Like, they can generate so many chances, and it's not like he's a plug either. Like, he's $6,100. He does put shots on net. He blocks shots, and he's just a little bit more expensive relatively tonight than he probably should be. So maybe that makes him a good tournament play. Let's see where I got to him. He's not looking like a priority for me tonight. There's just so much value, and usually I would just say value is like it's way overrated, because it is. But like tonight, when everyone's valuable, you should love your lineups on DraftKings tonight. There's no doubt about that. So I would use Riley in 4-man stacks with Toronto, and that's really about it. Wouldn't be seeking him as a one-off all that much. Shea Weber is your other guy, PP1. Anyone with a PP1 tag tonight is probably a little bit underpriced, honestly, on DK. Hit the like, guys. Maybe the show will start faster. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, OG Blue, so I don't have to ask for likes. Rangers, Senators, 3.4 implied total for the Rangers, 3.2 for Ottawa. Georgiev and Craig Anderson in net. Would expect a lot of goals here as well. And the Colin White line is one of my favorites on the entire slate. So Bobby Ryan grades out exceptionally well on a value perspective. Not necessarily the sexiest names you've got here on Ottawa 1, but I just think the Rangers are going to play so up-tempo all season. They were last year, but I just think they're going to be better this year. For me, I think that probably the second line for Ottawa goes up against Zibanejad, Panarin, and Pavel Buchnevich for the majority of the game. Don't really have a ton of data on JGP and Duclair and Brown together, because Brown this is the first time he's been on the team. Would not expect them to be a good shutdown line, though, to put it lightly. So now you're going to free up White, Tkachuk, and almost said Stone. White, Tkachuk, and Bobby Ryan, and they get to go up against the Rangers' depth. I think that's a pretty enviable spot for them. So I absolutely love Ottawa 1. I like the Rangers. Of course, you got to look at Rangers 1 here. Big total for them. I love this game. I think this one could get out of hand, in that I think there just could be a ton of goalies. No Lundqvist for the Rangers, obviously. And don't sleep on the defensemen either here. Shabbat and Trouba, not the sexiest of names, but I'm going to play so much Trouba at the start of the season. He grades out exceptionally well, even when you don't add in the fact that it's a much better situation this year for him. So I think tonight is no different. 5K is a fair price. There's some guys that are egregiously priced, though, so you kind of got to shop around. He's going to be a guy that I do bump up manually. If he's not high in your projection systems, he would be a guy that I would be trying to get in a lot of lineups, and especially if I'm playing Rangers 1. Shabbat on the other side, maybe even better of a play tonight. It's just going to be so high event. Could not be a better spot for Shabbat, honestly. If the Senators had a good power play, I mean, man, I would be close to all in. So I love Shabbat as a one-off. $5,100 here on DK. He's my Highstone guy on FanDuel by a pretty good margin. What is he even on FanDuel? 54 on FanDuel. Just a great price for him, in my opinion. You could play him as a one-off. You could play Trouba as a one-off as well. I would love to get both of these defensemen as much as I could. So I love this game. I think it might be my favorite, my most exposure game of the night across the sites. I think I prefer this one a little bit more than the Leafs game overall, especially when you factor in the ownership. Like, there's going to be ownership on Rangers 1. There's probably not going to be too much ownership on Ottawa, I wouldn't think. No one drafted... Oh, that's season long. I don't care about season long. Okay, Tampa, Florida, Vasilevsky, Sergei Bobrovsky, 3.4 implied total for the Lightning, 3.2 for the Panthers. Another game that looks pretty tasty. My favorite play by a mile in this game, though, is Barkov, Huberdeau, and Dadonov. So they're just very, very, very clearly underpriced. I think everyone on this line should be like $1,500 cheaper. Tampa's not a team I'm that worried about targeting against when they're on the road, at least. Maybe not as deep of a team as they had last year. But regardless, even if this was Tampa last year, I love Florida 1. So that's going to be one of my favorite targets on the entire slate. I just don't love that Yandel's their top power play guy with playing on the third pairing and such. So would just be looking to go with Barkov, Huberdeau, and Dadonov, finding my... Oh, wait, Dadonov's out tonight? Where are you seeing that? Is this news that just happened? Let me see this. Did I miss this? Or is this guy trolling me? Let me check Nolan's article. Where are you seeing he's out? I saw he skated with Florida 1 tonight, or this morning. So I mean, I don't know where you're seeing that, but last time I checked, Dadonov was in. I'm going with that he's in. So assuming he is, give me Florida 1. I absolutely love Florida 1. One of my favorite plays on the slate, a top 5 play easily. There's like 15 plays, I think, that could be the top 5, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. So 13-game slate, don't get cute. I don't think it's getting cute playing Florida 1. I think they're fine if they go up against Tampa 1. That's not a matchup I'm super scared of. And full power play correlation, these guys are awesome. I think we could see a Florida breakout here. They're kind of a trendy sleeper team that everyone likes, and this would be a good time for them to bust out. So I'll be on it if tonight's the night. What is this link you sent me, Nolan? Slightly. Yeah. That was the one I was seeing. He's in, as far as I know. I mean, something could happen where he's not in. No defenseman I'm crazy about in this game. Just like other guys, but over Hedman. I'm not crazy about Tampa. They're a scary fade, of course. It's not even an intentional fade or anything like that. They are good. There's a lot of good lines that are cheap tonight. Tampa 1 is not really one of my favorites. So that's all. Nothing against them. Columbus going up against Pittsburgh, 2.8 implied total for the Blue Jackets, 3.7 for the Pens. Elvis, I'm not even going to attempt that last name. Elvis is going for Columbus. Matt Murray going for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of laid an egg on opening night, as I mentioned when we were talking about the Buffalo game. Wouldn't expect them to do that here. Dominic Simone slides up to the top line. They skated this way yesterday in practice. Crosby, Gensel. I would have liked Hornquist up there. That would have probably been one of my favorite lines tonight when you factor in the Columbus back-to-back. But all the sads, because we're not going to get Patrick Hornquist up on that top line. And that's really the only line that I have a lot of interest in tonight. CBJ2, man, they always come up as a good value for me, but like I'm so sick of like jamming in 7% of my teams with CBJ2. Like I'm not crazy about that. Everyone's a good value tonight, so just because CBJ2 is like one of the better ones, I think I'm going to avoid them or at least put a cap on them. Whereas in general, I don't really cap. I hate how the rest of these Columbus lines are constructed. The correlation's terrible. Tortorella is terrible. It's they're really tilting for DFS. So if you're going anywhere, I probably go to like Seth Jones or Werenski. But again, those guys aren't even kind of my favorite. Anywhere near my favorite guys in their price ranges. On the other side, Schultz and Letang swapped power play units. I would be careful with this one. This has happened a number of times in the last couple of years where they've swapped, and it usually doesn't stick for very long. So the uncertainty makes it so I don't really want to play Letang that much anyways. And if he's not going to be on the top power play, even for like one opportunity, like that's still enough for me to just go to what I think is a better play. Go to a Burns or a Carlson or Giordano or not whoever. The other Carlson with a K, Carlson with a C. I mean, there's a ton of options up at the top on DraftKings. And Letang's not that great of a play in my eyes tonight, relative to the rest of the field. Okay, what do you think of Boston tonight? We'll get there. This game's done. Nothing I'm looking at very, very much on Columbus's side. Carolina, Washington, 2.9 implied total for the Hurricanes, 3.1 for the Caps. James Reimer in net against Braden Holtby. We're probably going to see the Backstrom line go up against Aho, Niederreiter, Teravainen. I think that's a quality matchup for Carolina 1, so I'm going to fish my way into some Carolina 1 once again tonight, as I'll probably play them the entire season. They did a little bit of swapping on their lines. So Stahl's going to be with Svechnikov and McGinn, and then Aho's going to be with Niederreiter and Teravainen. Someone swapped around there. I can't remember if it was Svech and... No, it was McGinn and Teravainen or something like that. Whatever it is. These are the lines. These are the correct lines on the screen. I do like Carolina 1 quite a bit. Aho, Niederreiter, Teravainen. I really love when Aho and Niederreiter are together. I think Teravainen is a pretty quality piece as well. So I think a pretty well-rounded line. Maybe not the best finishing line, Teravainen and Niederreiter. But I think they are going to generate. You just need to... It's hard to score goals anyway, so you need to fall on the right side of variance. I think more often than not, Carolina 1 generates enough chances to be good for DFS tonight. So that's kind of the best way I could put it. Ovechkin, Backstrom, Wilson. Yeah, I do correlate my goalies quite a bit. I'm going to be trying to force some of that tonight, especially with the soft pricing. Like you can spend up for goalie. Correlating your goalie doesn't... it's not that difficult tonight on DraftKings. I'll do it some on FanDuel as well. Holtby a good choice. I think Holtby is a decent choice tonight. If you're spending up, like I mentioned, you can spend up on DraftKings because the pricing is just awful on the skaters. So 8,200, he's probably going to see a lot of volume because Carolina always puts shots on goal. Washington 1. They're a whatever play for me. Like it's so hard to say they're like don't play them, but I don't think you shouldn't just ignore them here. I got to 5% of them. It is what it is. I would say they're probably outside the top 10 lines for me. If they go off, would you be surprised? Absolutely not, because they have Ovechkin on the line, and he's just been a hat trick waiting to happen for the majority of his career. So Ovechkin would be your favorite one-off here. I think a lot of people will use Ovechkin one-offs and Kucherov one-offs, and that's fine. But I'm looking at everyone in terms of full stacks tonight, and Washington one not quite in the upper tier for me. Carlson, 5K. He's a guy I really, really love tonight. So if you're going with Ovechkin, I shouldn't say I love him. I do like Carlson. I got to about 15%. So I think that's going to be over the field. A lot of my Washington 1 stacks, or the few Washington 1 stacks that I get to, will have Carlson in them if I can try to force that in there. And then there's no one I'm looking at defenseman too heavy for Carolina because they still hate Dougie Hamilton. They just refuse to let him play on the top power play unit. Got to jam in Jake Gardner on the top power play. I guess they're kind of balanced, but it's just incredible. Like, just put your best offensive defenseman on the power play. I don't know. It's probably too simple. There's probably real hockey reasons. Like, Carolina's a sharp organization. So they're probably doing the right thing. I'm just bid selfish and saying what I want for DFS. But I would like to see Dougie on the top unit before I start jamming him in at like 60% or something like that. Dallas, St. Louis, 2.5 implied total for Dallas, 2.9 for the Blues. Ben Bishop, Jordan Binnington in net here. Line matching, first, Dallas 1 is interesting tonight, I guess. Faxa centering Sagan and Ben. I don't know what that's about. Like, at first I was just like, oh, okay, Dallas is at home. They want to make that line better defensively or whatever with Faxa because they use him as their shutdown center sometimes. But, like, they're on the road here. They're probably going to get matched against O'Reilly, as O'Reilly is often the Blues shutdown center. Rocking the 80s skater hair. Yeah, that's me. I don't know. It kind of takes away, like, I don't want to play much Dallas 1 tonight. Faxa just ruins it for me a little bit. Ben at 4,800. I mean, that price is outrageous, even for tonight. Blues prices are insane. Yeah. That's what Eric says in chat. I have to agree with you too. So the pricing is definitely favorable in this game, but this is not, I don't expect this to be a super high event game. So I'm kind of looking to get off of this one a little bit because I think the pricing is just going to boost these guys. They're going to all come up as good values, even though I'm not even sure how good of a spot this is, like, for anyone here. If I had to choose just one line to play, I think it would be St. Louis 1. Shocker. Jake likes the chalk, but I think that's what it would be if I had to choose just one. I'm not a big fan of whoever they've been putting with St. Louis 2. You like O'Reilly. Perron is okay if he's going to play on the power play with O'Reilly, but like Sammy Blais, or whether it's been Sanford, or I think they might have had Robert Thomas up there at some point last year. It's just not all that appealing as a full stack. Emac asking for likes. And then the defenseman, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I guess if I had to choose one guy, I think I'm getting to the most Klingberg, not anywhere